today. The city of McAllen, Texas says the Biden administration released more than 7,000 COVID positive migrants into the community, but definitely you need to be mandated to take a vaccine, guys. Also, CNN tracks down and corners a Florida doctor that is on the White House list of 12 disinformation pushers. We've got a fun one today, and it starts right now.
On the table.
Hey, happy Friday. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, today joined by BlazeTV contributor Jaco Booyens, host of the Jaco Booyens Show. Also in the house, Sydney Watson, and I mean, let's be real, her dog Murphy, who, if this is why you guys have to watch also and not just listen. This is the cutest freaking thing I've ever seen in my life. So Murphy is joining us today. He will be commentating as well.
He will. He has lots to say. He and his egghead.
Oh my God.
Even right now,
so
he's just
cute.
like, I love this studio. Let me eat all the equipment.
The baby Irish setter. He's the cutest thing ever.
He very much is.
And it's Friday, so we're just doing it. He may end up on the table later. I don't really know.
I'm just gonna let him run rampant.
What's gonna happen?
It's your show. If you're okay with it,
I'm
let him
totally
just
fine
eat
with it.
the thing in the middle.
I am absolutely fine with that. Also joining us, Eric July, BlazeTV contributor as well, and host of For Canon's Sake, which you can find at his YouTube channel, which is Young Rippa 59.
Yep.
Which he is never changing. It's never going to be old Rippa.
No. Funny enough, I was on Michael Knowles today, and he said he was Young Rippa 58. He said that's why I had to use 59. So
nuh-uh.
Yeah, that's what he said. That's what Michael Knowles said.
That's so funny.
So yeah, insider information there.
That's really funny.
You're forever young.
Yeah. No,
Yes.
I can't age.
Forever.
Even when I'm 40.
Maybe you are the vampire in this equation.
Oh, hold on 1 second. Did you just say even when I'm 40?
Even when I'm 40.
Bro, that's young. You gotta smack this boy across the table. What kind of a measuring stick is that?
That's funny.
This Friday started off all right and then all wrong. Fantastic Four. You gotta need to be the Fantastic Seven.
All right, well, we're off to an explosive start here at the table. Let's go through the headlines. So the city of McAllen, Texas said that since mid-February, U.S. Customs and Border Protection released more than 7,000 illegal immigrants. Now, this is obviously the numbers of just released illegal immigrants are way more. This is just the COVID positive confirmed COVID-19 cases into their community. That's including more than 1,500 new cases in just the past week. Now, this comes, again, I alluded to it earlier, at a time where you see New York City earlier this week came out and they're mandating vaccination. They're pushing for mandatory vaccines to basically enter public establishments, right? Indoor restaurants, gyms, eateries. And then you saw LA come out and do the same type of thing. Well, at least they're pushing for it. So you have the left pushing for these vaccine passports, pushing for you guys to never leave your homes again, pushing for masks to be on children in schools, all these things because COVID is so deadly. COVID is so scary. We have to get control of this awful pandemic. There are people dying in the streets. Oh, except they're literally releasing COVID, thousands of COVID positive migrants, illegal immigrants into the community. You couldn't write this better if you tried.
No, this is Dr. Evil. He's Bane. This is like the super villain who's in charge. And all of a sudden, super villain took over Gotham City. This is what's going on here. I mean, and they just run amok. I mean, there's no logic. This is what I want to do. I just want to have this series of intense debates. Line them up, all of them. Start with Newsom because I want to take that guy down. And then you bring the Cuomos and de Blasio. And then you bring Sippy Cup. You line him up. And I just want to have general logical questions. Simple questions. Does it make sense, Uncle Joe, that we release 7,000 COVID positive people at the same time you're telling America, duck because you're all going to die? Mm-hmm. Does it make sense? And I just want to watch them squirm on live television and squeal and they suck for air and hope some hole swallows them because there's no answer that can justify it. Zero. But then again, nobody holds them accountable other than the Sarah Show and Blaze. They're never being held accountable for anything.
I'm you know what? I think that should be the new name of this show.
The Sarah Show.
Sarah Show.
The Sarah Show.
I like that.
Works for me.
And
Like
I think it goes off the tongue way better than the current title.
Well,
I'm just saying,
Well, you
Tyler.
heard it here first.
Tyler's watching this like, oh my, there's a dog on set.
What's going on?
All these crazy things are happening. Now Sarah's yelling about changing the name. All right, let's just do it. Send it. Let's go.
Okay, so really back to this. I can't imagine that even their own people are believing this crap. But then I read Twitter, which I know I have to remind myself it is not representative of real life. Twitter is not representative of real life. Twitter is not representative of real life. But it feels that way sometimes. And you see all of these people who are still scared, who are still acting like it's the end of the world. And it's like, bro, your guy is releasing COVID positive people. That's how seriously he takes this pandemic.
Your guy is picking stuff off of his face and eating it. That's how seriously he takes the presidency. I mean... Yeah, no, I'm sort of in agreement with all of you guys, I think, on this, where it's like, I see this as just, at this point, one giant psyop. It's like, really, what's going on behind the scenes if this is what you're drawing our attention to?
Yeah.
You know, for every one thing that the government actually says, how many other things are going on that we don't hear about? So how much worse is this actually?
Yeah.
I don't know, I find it all kind of ironic that it's like they make such sounds about how bad COVID is, you know, oh, how the hospitals are getting overwhelmed again, mind you, while they're laying off staff that won't get vaccinated. What's that all about? If you're really so overwhelmed. And then, you know, by the same token, then you have all these illegal immigrants, and I hate that people call them migrants. Can I just say that
I know.
too?
Every single story that I get on my note card, it always says migrants, and I always have to correct it because I'm reading it and I'm like, they're not migrants.
No, it's this like semantics, language changing thing that the left does that makes it sound less important than it actually is. They're illegal immigrants. They're illegal aliens. Let's call a spade a spade. And what bothers me about all of this is I think, you know, you're punishing the American people while simultaneously letting in all these people into the country who have the propensity to pass on a virus that you think is so bad. And here we all sit in lockdown with our masks on, basically like, you know, sucking our thumbs because we're children, we're infantilized at this stage, and the government doesn't care. I don't know. I'm becoming an anarchist. What else can I say?
I know. I feel like you're really resonating with.
Hey man, I'm gonna have the entire Blaze studio going full and cap.
You're confirming everybody.
Yes.
Can I just say, how many times have I said to you, Eric, this is like your time.
Yeah.
Right? This is your moment. The last year and a half has just been. It's like every single day that the news, like whatever news stories happen, I feel like every single day for the last year and a half, Eric's been like, I've been trying to tell you guys this for the last freaking, decade?
Man.
No one's listening. Now you guys are really figuring it out.
I did it in so many different ways. I put it in a song. I put it in a YouTube video. I've been telling all these people, and then it blows up in people's face over the last year, and folks are like, okay. Yeah,
they're like, you know what sounds great? Decentralization.
yeah,
and
exactly.
Eric's head just goes,
I've been trying to tell you guys this. But this is the same angle. I know that a lot of people are going to say, well, they may or may not have been quarantined for X amount of time if they had tested positive. What it boils down to is the idea that still being within that community are people that are testing positive for this apocalyptic virus. Well, let them tell it that's what it is. So, of course, people have a right to look at that and be upset because you're treating these sort of different groups of people way differently than what you are the folks that are already within this geographical area known as the United States of America that have been living here. So we look at that. Now, it's different a little bit in Texas, but let's assume that you're in New York City or somewhere like that and you see something like that in which these people treat it as if this is basically a death sentence, which is what the virus essentially is, let them tell it. And you see something like that happening, like maybe it isn't as dangerous as what it is that they have been saying that it was. I don't know. Maybe that's always been certainly the case. They get to be continuously hypocritical on it. The CDC even had to concede, what was it, was it last week or was it early this week? Can't really remember, in which they're saying, okay, well, out there in Massachusetts, looks like the vast majority of those people that had tested positive during this supposed outbreak were vaccinated.
Fully vaccinated.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Fully vaccinated. I mean, partially. Whoops. So all that stuff that they had been saying about the unvaccinated being the reason why this pandemic continues to extend, it doesn't look like that was that true. But that's the grim side of it, is that it does look like they're going to get away with it, despite being so hypocritical and all their alphabet, be the CDCs of the world, NIHs of the world. They get to basically contradict themselves, and they get to fall back on, well, the science changed.
Right. Of course, the science changed. We can't provide the data to back up that the science changed. But if we say the science changed, we are the science.
Yep.
So we can just tell you that, and it's totally fine. By the way, Biden's amazing plan to stop COVID-19 at the border is definitely not to just like shut the border down and, like enforce the actual laws that are on the books. It's just to vaccinate the illegal immigrants before they release them into your cities and towns.
Yeah, like you can stop a virus. Like you can actually stop a virus. Like the virus has, a little ankle bracelet on, and it abides by geography and zip code, and it doesn't just go where it wants to.
We all know, Yaku, that it doesn't strike when you're doing a Black Lives Matter protest or riot or some other social justice warrior.
It's Friday, so I'm going to go somewhere that I really want to go.
Oh, boy.
Okay? I want to go somewhere. I want to talk about what's really... Sometimes you just need to ask a question, and the amazing Blaze viewers run with it, right? What's really going on? That's what I want to know. What's really, because this is obviously, look at my left hand, so you don't see what I'm doing with the right hand, right? So I want to know, where's the cabal? What are they doing? What is the deep state doing? Who's pulling the strings? I want to start asking the real questions, because Biden is a puppet. Okay, Harris has fallen off the wagon. So I want us to go back and say, where are the Clintons at the moment? What are they doing? What's Obama doing? What strings are he pulling?
He's having parties with 700 people.
No, but he's pulling a lot of strings. I want to get into Soros. I'm going to say I want to get into George Soros and his underling, hear me today, that's being groomed to be Dr. Evil, and that's Gates. I want to know where Gates is. I want to see who's connected. Let's go back to AZT, the drug. The AIDS drug that Fauci took to Africa that that spread AIDS, that they had to cancel bringing it here. Let's go dig up some bodies. I'm in that spirit right now. I'm in a fighting spirit. I want to fight. I want to pick a fight. Let's dig those things up and call Fauci for what he is. The guy that's been responsible for millions dying over multiple drugs. Who's he funded by? Who funded the Wuhan lab? Let's go ask those questions as conservatives. Let's go dig up some bodies.
Do you feel like getting suicided? Because I feel like that's where that goes.
No.
Do you want to be hanging
I got
somewhere?
the hand of God on me, and I'm telling you what I've learned about a bully when I was 7. You smash them in the mouth. They're cowards. When they run you over? When you approach the fight hesitantly. When you go almost said a word.
It's fine.
Halfway, right?
Murph is like, he's not appreciating this language.
Murphy's in a fighting mood, too.
Listen, we need to go on the offense. Start public. The barbecue this weekend. Start asking your friends these questions. What's really going on? Let's start a real investigation into these top 300 families and start asking real questions about what's really going on. Who's pulling the strings? Why? Right? Because it doesn't make sense. I'm in that mood now. I'm like, okay. My grandpa said, hey, you pick up a shovel, you're going to find something. Let's pick up a shovel. Let's go dig.
All right, let's assemble the army. Let's go. Let's go knock down. I'm not mocking you, by the way.
You can mock me all you want. I'm still going that direction.
I'm on board.
Hey,
I'm on board.
Step with me or step out of the way.
This is where I've been for ages. I'm like, let's go. Let's assemble an army. Let's go.
Let's go. Common logic.
Well, I will say this. I do think that it's a sad state of affairs when I hear on the news earlier this week, Sydney, I think that we talked about this the other day about there was just another news story that one of the Capitol officers involved in the January 6th hubbub committed suicide. And that was what, the 4th?
Yeah, the 4th one.
And I was like, that doesn't sound right to me, right? I'm immediately skeptical of all of these they've all happened within the last couple months or something, and I'm like, that doesn't sound right. I'd love to hear more information on that. And then you get called a conspiracy theorist and all these things, but I'm like, well, I think it says less about me and more about the fact that we know that all of these crazy things are going on in the government. And that's where, because I feel like I'm a reasonable person. I'm not a crazy person. If that's where my mind goes, it's not because I'm crazy. It's because they're constantly gaslighting us and lying to us and telling us that we're the crazy ones.
Yeah, that's how the government has historically operated. Yeah. So, unfortunately, when it when you're dealing with like the institutions, the CNNs of the world, the ABCs of the world, people that are basically state propagandists anyway, the only legitimate information is the information that comes from them. So yeah, you're right. If you bring something like that up, which is bizarre, it's very bizarre. Like, that's not a normal thing. That's not something that happens from a situation like this. Even just the foundational concept of what happened around January 6th, for the most part, was a complete lie. Yeah. And if you bring it up, it's like, well, they say this FBI, CIA, whoever, whatever alphabet they didn't confirm that. Therefore, you must be talking out of your behind.
Right.
There's no way that something like that could be true. So it is textbook gaslighting, because they have you questioning whether or not you're the sane one as you see something like that happening, and you're like, well, that doesn't make sense and that doesn't align with the reality at all.
Right. All right. We've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, though, Bonner Wines. So it's Friday. It's about to be happy hour, and I gotta tell you, if you enjoy wine like I do, and you're tired of drinking the boring $10 grocery store bottles, you have to try this extreme altitude wine from our friends over at Bonner. This comes from the mountains of Argentina, and they grow these grapes at 9,000 feet, and it is you think to yourself, whoa, what difference does that do? You have to try it for yourself, okay? These grapes make such an amazing wine. So amazing, in fact, that we had to stop selling this a while back because it was flying off the shelves so quickly that we were they were like, we don't have any in stock. We can't, let's just hold off until we get more in, because the people loved it so much. By the way, there are no dyes, no flavor additives, less sugar than your average wine. So you can see that you're doing it for your health, which is what I like to do every Friday and Thursday and Wednesday, and then Monday and Tuesday as well. Did I mention Saturday and Sunday? Every day is a good day for Bonner Wine. You got to go over to cowgirlwine2021.com. If you go over there right now, they've got 50% off of the wine and 50% off of the shipping. By the way, my husband, who is not a wine drinker, he had a procedure done and he couldn't drink anything cold. And he had the wine and he was like, oh, this is really good. You're not kidding. I know. I don't lie about these things. All right. Go over there right now. Get 50% off the wine and 50% off the shipping only at cowgirlwine2021.com. CNN, in just epic levels of journalism these days, they're trying to go after these 12 disinformation spreaders, right? So the White House published this list a while back of, actually, I'm not sure that they published the list, but they've been alluding to it every once in a while. They say that they have a disinformation dozen, which is the group of 12 people that researchers, this is what they say at the White House, the researchers say are responsible for 65% of anti-vaccine content on social media. By the way, I'd like for you to understand that anti-vaccine to them just means asking questions, asking for data to be provided, asking why do I need to get some sort of a one-size-fits-all solution for a virus that I am not likely to have any negative long-term effects from. That makes you anti-vaccine these days, okay? So there's this disinformation dozen, specifically Dr. Joseph Mercola, who is in Fort Myers, Florida. I know he runs a big website and he is very into holistic, natural remedies for many things. But he did some really bad things, you guys. He told people that vaccines can be dangerous. He said that vitamins C and D can help treat or prevent coronavirus. And he also said that masks sometimes don't work. So I'm just saying, if anyone deserves to be in jail for the rest of their lives, it's definitely Dr. Mercola, or not. But CNN decided to track him down. They showed up at his office and then asked when he would be back, and then decided to drive 200 miles to his house, where they didn't find him, but then spotted him over yonder, and then decided to hunt him down there and ask him questions about whether or not he feels responsible. The whole thing is so bizarre that they thought that this was a good look. Here it is.
We first tried to find him at his office in Cape Coral, Florida, outside Fort Myers.
Yes. I'm looking for Dr. Joseph Mercola.
Not here.
Not here. Is he here today? Can I leave a message?
He's not here.
Will he be here tomorrow, if not today, or?
No, he's normally not here.
So even though his office is listed here, he doesn't work out of here?
No.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Next stop, more than 220 miles away, Ormond Beach, Florida, which Dr. Mercola calls home. We found his house behind a large gate and tried making contact through the security access pad.
Hello, this is Randy Kay from CNN. I'm hoping to get a word with Dr. Mercola.
Later, we spotted Joseph Mercola riding his bicycle. Once he stopped, we thought this was our opening to get some answers as to why he's pushing false claims about masks and the vaccine.
How are you? I'm Randy Kay with CNN. Can we ask you a couple questions? We just want to talk to you about vaccines and what you've been saying about them. Do you feel responsible for people who didn't get vaccinated, possibly got sick and died because of what you told them about the vaccines? What do you say to families who lost loved ones? Are you spreading misinformation? Nope. Why won't you speak to us?
Gee.
Here's your opportunity to speak with us and answer questions.
I wonder why he's not speaking with them. I wonder. It's a shocker to me that he wouldn't speak to a camera group, a videographer, producer probably, and some dumb lady on a microphone who's hunting you down, trying to ask you gotcha questions about why you did such horrible things, like tell people that sometimes vaccines can be dangerous, sometimes masks don't work. And by the way, maybe you should treat your body right and ingest vitamins to make yourself healthier so you can fight off freaking illnesses.
You know how cool it is? The doctor that says, listen, let's live right, let's exercise, let's be holistic. Where do they find him? On a bicycle.
Yeah, I know.
Working out.
Looking fit as hell.
Getting some vitamin D, right? Actually drinking the Kool-Aid that he's selling, right? We need more of those people in this country. I wouldn't spend 2 seconds talking to that woman when you're a pit bull, okay? And a little fox terrier walks up. You don't flinch. You walk right by. That's what he did. He's like, CNN? Nah, not worth my time. I'm working out. I'm beating COVID on my bicycle.
Can I tell you, the other day, I had to scroll I was like, I wonder if CNN has anything about Andrew Cuomo on their website. This was front and center, right? But the other day, I went and I had to scroll all the way to the bottom on my cell phone to be able to find anything about Cuomo. And even then, it was like not...
Abusing women.
No, you want to know why that is?
Right.
Yeah.
Because they were too busy putting stories of 12-year-olds reading letters on their website. That's why. Did you see that? Where that little girl was reading a letter saying, I want to wear masks to school, please. Okay, Daddy.
Stop.
They're learning early. Okay, Daddy,
Brainwashing the
government,
kids.
please let me put the mask
brainwashing
on.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my 10-year-old brother, he can't get vaccinated. He wears 2 masks to school. This is how I imagine American children to speak, just by the way. This is my interpretation of all of your kids. I'll just offend everyone in one sitting. Oh, please,
That's
Daddy.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like...
That's
so
what they're covering, and they're
that's what
harassing men
right.
at the beach that are like, hey, lady, you're short with your, yucky Karen haircut. Get away from me.
I mean, it's incredible. I'm like, you guys don't have anything better to do than hunt down this man who is trying to promote healthy living in America at a time, by the way, where like everyone is sick and unhealthy, and that is why the virus did such damage in this country.
It's so bizarre that, yeah, like you mentioned, that they thought that was kind of a good look. And then the setup question was just insane. This whole idea like he himself is responsible because someone didn't get vaccinated and then they ultimately die. Like, what in the world? Like, this is like a bizarre setup. Like, you're telling me you're an irrational person. And I'm certainly not obligated to try to have some sort of honest conversation when you're approaching the conversation dishonestly. You're under no requirement. That's the exact setup that the American authoritarian left. That's how they operate. They want you constantly on the defense. They'll straw man your position, and they'll certainly gaslight you, and you are under no requirement to respond or defend yourself to someone's nonsensical claims. But as always, CNN likes to deem anything to the contrary of what the state says as misinformation. Like what you mentioned, there's nothing necessarily irrational about that. And this is funny how I guess they're just now kind of discovering that, there's doctors in America that don't say you need to get the vaccine. Right. My own doctor, hopefully they don't hunt them down after watching this show, but my own doctor, this is the same thing. It's like, well, you're healthy, you work out every day, you take your vitamin D, you take your zinc, you're generally going to be fine. Even if you do end up getting it, you're not going to get hospitalized.
There are risk factors to consider.
Right.
Yeah.
As with anything else, right? That's just kind of how we operated in life long before this. But that's the problem with the conversation, is that anything deemed opposite of them is misinformation or disinformation. Meanwhile, and this is the most important part, meanwhile, they could contradict themselves and be wrong, like they were, again, with how this Delta variant is spreading. They literally were wrong. I need America to understand that. The CDC flat out came out and admitted, okay, we got it wrong. We got it wrong. It's not spreading by way of just the unvaccinated. From our own studies, it shows that in terms of this viral load, whether you're vaccinated or unvaccinated, it's the same. Yeah. So they got it wrong, but that's okay.
And by the way, the solution to that is to get more vaccinated.
As always.
So young Ripper, by the CNN brainwave that they had to drive 220 miles and tell you his house is behind a gate.
It's like, no wonder, because creeps like you were coming up to our door.
It should be a gate and a shotgun. Like the Second Amendment. But young Ripper, by that logic, we can now go to the President of the United States and say, do you feel responsible for killing Americans for letting unvaccinated people with COVID come across the border?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go ask that question.
Or how about
let's go behind the house behind the big gate. The White House.
I mean, if they were that rigorous, I mean, they would actually be, uncovering a lot of stuff. Yeah. If they had did that to other government employees or trying to track them down at their houses, saying how they actually
the Texas
feel.
Democrats flying to D.C.
Yeah, all of that stuff.
House.
I mean, there's a long list of people that have been notably corrupt that they aren't seeming to ask those questions to, but God forbid an actual doctor doesn't just say you need to line up and get the jab. Well, we can't have that. There has to be some sort of, you spreading misinformation. It's like, dude, this guy has just as much of the the requirements in terms of becoming the credentials, all of that the other guys you tell us to listen to does. He just comes to a different conclusion, which it often happens in this field. It's just unfortunately with you guys, if it didn't come from the public ones, the one that they're paid for by way of stealing from us. Those guys, well, it's the appeal to authority. It's legit if they say it. Now, that doctor from Florida with the same credentials, no. Yeah. You can't go around telling people that they can't get vaccinated or they don't have to get vaccinated. Take vitamin D. Are you crazy? As you go ride on your bike and exercise and you're older but you're fit, you can't go saying crazy stuff like that. That's insane.
You're playing outside the playbook.
We'd rather tell people to get vaccinated and look up free hamburgers and donuts.
Yes, and of course lock down the gyms in the process, but we'll leave McDonald's open as well.
Exactly.
And take their faith.
Makes total sense. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back. God, it just kills me. We're just over here still talking about dogs.
We could have a whole, here's my plan. Okay,
I want to hear it.
Everyone gets an Irish setter like Murphy, who's off to the side eating a pig's ear right now. And then what we do is then we build an army of them, and then we train them to get our enemies.
That'll work. That'll work in well with your plan.
This is our movie.
That'll work really well with your plan, Jaco.
It will. You'll have your army.
You're gonna see me. I'm gonna shoot a picture. You're gonna see me like Big John Henry walking with a shovel on my shoulder. I'm gonna send you that picture.
Yeah, but you're gonna have a really
with a dog
behind you. We're all gonna be
exactly.
I'm not ready to fight. I just want to pet the puppy.
That's right.
All right.
Beautiful.
Murphy can only kill ears, not people. He's not that well trained.
Yet.
Wait,
all right. So the Orange County Board of Education announced plans to sue Gavin Newsom, who I know, Jaco, you said earlier is your favorite.
Coming for you, buddy.
Your favorite
coming for you, buddy.
In the country, over the state's indoor mask mandate for kindergarten through 12th grade students attending public schools for the upcoming year. The board voted 4-0 during the closed session in favor of filing the suit. So they say Newsom has abused his authority by indefinitely continuing to issue health edicts under a state of emergency. It's interesting because you mentioned what's going on in California. I know you've said it previously, how you go there and people in California, even those crazy people have had enough. Yeah. It is really interesting that Newsom continues to do this, even in the midst of, getting recalled. You would have thought that his opportunity to learn, oh, wait, maybe I've taken it too far, was then. And it just seems that the left never learns. They just continue to double down on these.
That's a sign of how far he is over the cliff, right? And it's interesting because, remember, we're talking about the California State School Board, which is not conservative, okay? I'm working with them at the moment. We're working because they complained because he signed by executive order comprehensive sex ed into California. Never gave the school board a chance to vote on it. So he has historically done really, really bad things for children, right? Go look at, State Bill 145, House Bill 2218. These things where 3-year-olds can get puberty blockers and these kind of things. So this time, the school board is saying, sorry, thank you, but no thank you. So again, just like Nancy Pelosi asking for Cuomo to leave, when a California state school board, which is very liberal, goes against their own governor saying, hey, no way, buddy. Then you need to know how bad it really is. So good for them. Good for the school board saying, enough is enough. I mean,
I just wanted you to do another impression of American children.
Oh, Daddy! Oh.
Well, I mean, so do you know where I never saw this video. Where was the kid from?
So goodness, I literally was just talking about this earlier. I actually cannot remember. I think it might have been it might have been in Florida. No. It might have been in Florida, yeah.
I don't
believe
This is
America's version of Greta.
Yeah, I just don't believe it for a second that children want,
no.
It was this little girl who wrote a letter to her county, like her school board county, whatever, I don't know what that is, basically saying,
ISD, the ISD.
Yes, there you go. I don't have children, these things escape me. So I have a fur one now.
Yeah.
But she basically said, I need masks instituted at my school because, whatever, and it was quite a long document, it looked like. I didn't know kids could write that much, let alone spell that many words. I am impressed.
It's almost like someone else wrote it or something.
It was very poetic the way they had it on screen.
Her.
Imagine using a child to send a message.
Wow.
Weird.
These guys are evil.
Everybody in the clip had masks on, double masked, in fact, and I was very impressed. I thought, I just love it how you can spew this much even though you've got things on your face. That's remarkable. Do you get it in your mouth again after you're speaking with the mask on? I know they hate me when I swear on this show. I'm sorry, producer overlords, just bleep it. You'll be fine. Eric.
I mean, y'all know how I feel about public schools, man, and it is interesting because like you said, these guys are leftists, and it's not even like that they're blatantly that. Probably went along with a lot of what he was doing early on until it extended for just a little bit too long.
I mean, it's Orange County, right? So they would be the most conservative.
That's true. I mean, but by any like legitimate metric, like a leftist in California, or a person that's considered conservative in California is still like a leftist.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
at the end of the day. But I get it. I certainly understand the frustration. But what people need to understand is that this is the system that they've allowed, not just with him, but of course with him, that they've allowed to exist. It's no turning back on that. And this is what America doesn't seem to understand with especially their federal government, that they give them this right. And obviously the state governments, the fact that nobody thought it was crazy that a governor could just executive order, bam,
right.
All of y'all are shut down. You can't work unless you're essential, and if you're only essential if you're on this list that I put you on. And nobody looks around like, maybe this guy shouldn't have this much power to do this, to impact my individual life, despite me not even liking this guy or even knowing who he is. He doesn't know anything about me. And then with Newsom, which is hilarious, we know he's been caught doing this thing with, unmasked, having dinners, doing that type of thing. This is what the elites get to do. They lecture you, and they do the opposite of what they're telling you to do. But this is how you get to that point. So people need to start actually looking at, how did you contribute to the system it is that you have right now? It's too late once it blows up in your face.
Right. So I want to go back to Yaku. You mentioned puberty blockers earlier. We're talking about California and the sex ed curriculum and all of these things. I want to talk about something that is happening having to do with that in Texas, of all places. Actually, the Dallas area. We've covered it on the show before. It is Jeff Younger, who is a father of 2 twins. One of them, his ex-wife, is basically trying to transition, right? We've talked about it. They call him Luna. The dad has said, hey, when he's with me, he very clearly wants to be a boy. He's happy with me living as a boy. Every time he goes back to the mom says, he wants to be a girl, and I'm transitioning him into a girl. Well, they've been involved in court for the last, over a year and a half, I think. It's several years now it's been. The court finally, they brought their verdict, and in Texas, of all places, the judge awarded the ex-wife, the mother, Georgulis, exclusive control over the child's primary residence, counseling, medications, education, and extracurricular activities. The father now, who was fighting to not transition his child, only gets supervised visits at his own expense. And he is able to have a say in puberty blockers or hormone suppressants, but nothing else. Oh, and by the way, in the order, it also says that the mother does not have to tell the father about extracurricular activities and things of that nature. This is in Texas, you guys.
And
Texas
this is
of all places.
This is a milquetoast, spineless judge, okay, a coward that's saying, you know what, Mom, you're going to get full control. You get full control, and that is sure the dad has to approve a puberty blocker, but go ahead and transition the kid and lie to his ear and indoctrinate him. You know, I call this the Barbie syndrome. American girls have been ruined by Barbie. If you really think about Barbie, Ken is an ensemble. The guy has no kahunas. He's nothing. He's nothing. He's like an accessory. Hell, Ken doesn't even have his own house. He's in a pink house, in a pink car, right? And so all these moms want to transition their boys to play house, play doll. And I say, put your foot down if you're a father, okay? Man up. Take your house back, right? If your wife was little Johnny to be Janine or whatever, okay? Pull him aside, get him on a recording, let him speak for himself like the son does, and go to war for the sons of this nation, because this is Texas. How do you think this thing plays out in Illinois? How do you think this thing plays out in AOC, county? Yeah. Terrible, right? Yeah. So, okay, but historically, though, as you know, dads lose in Texas.
Mm-hmm. They lose everywhere.
They lose everywhere, yeah.
Dads lose in Texas when it comes to custody, and yes, granted, often they should, but dads have almost no shot in Texas.
Yeah, and by the way, this mother of this child, Sydney, is apparently a doctor.
I was going to say, isn't she a pediatrician?
Yes, she's a pediatrician.
I mean, there's like footage of this little boy saying to his dad, like, Mom puts me in justice,
Yep.
She paints my nails, I don't really like it, yada, yada, yada. And this stuff just really depresses me.
How does a judge look at that and not go, well, the child doesn't want this? There's reasonable doubt, right? No.
Well, the problem is, so in these cases, the problem is always like coercion, basically, like which parent is coercing the child into doing and saying particular things. There's no easy solution here, because we are living in this sort of weird reality at the moment where if your child does say, I'm not in the right body, then for some reason that supersedes the logic that they will in fact grow out of it, which we know that, like, somewhere in the realm of 90+% of children do outgrow this gender dysphoria thing. I think this case is particularly sad because the little boy is a twin and the brother is not being subjected to the same treatment as James is. And what's super sad about it is that there are other cases that have happened in the past where we have actually seen how this plays out. And in those cases, the children commit suicide. Yeah. Because
the child is the victim here. The only loser here, the child loses.
The mother is a sociopath from what it sounds like. The mother
100%.
is an insane person.
100%.
And obviously we don't know the goings on behind closed doors and what have you, but I would argue that this mom probably should not be in any capacity in charge of this child's medical treatment.
Yes, and instead she's now in charge of all of them.
Something would have happened in the court case. Something would have happened. Someone would have done something nefarious went on. Yeah. This is not normal.
Yeah, I know. I hope that they get to the bottom of it. By the way, you can go to Save James on Facebook if you are a Facebook member, and you can go to there's a group there, there's a page that will give updates if you want to be updated on this particular case. We got to take a break. We'll be back.
Yeah, get ready. James is going to need a decade of therapy.
Transgender weightlifter Laurel Hubbard. You guys may recall Laurel was going to the Olympics for New Zealand, and everyone was like, God, look at that, guys. What a glowing,
such balls to go to the Olympics.
Such femininity just dripping from her armpits there. But apparently Hubbard was the only competitor that did not advance to the clean and jerk stage after failing to register a single lift on 3 attempts. So great job. We already gave you the advantage, dude, and you couldn't even cut it there. But let's listen to the female weightlifters who were asked about Laurel competing. Let's listen to their reaction. Watch.
It was a historic night here. with Laurel Hubbard competing as the first openly transgender in a individual event. And I was wondering, what you felt about that and what you felt that it took place in your sport.
No, thank you.
Come on, yes, and it's a dude. The dude couldn't lift in Gold's Gym, and then he thinks he can go beat the girls who are actually Olympic lifters. It's just the whole thing.
How insulting to ask them that.
Yeah.
Because that has nothing to do with them.
Yeah, they're like,
they got she got her ass kicked. She wasn't any good. And for them to, after winning, to be asked that question has got to be the most insulting thing. But it goes to show why that move was even made in the first place for that. Just that. It's the same thing we had with the Michael Sam situation out in football, where everybody wants to make statements, and then the person can't even play to the level of everybody else. But you want to center every press conference and everything else around that having that conversation. Definitely the people who have worked their entire tail off to get in that position. So, I mean, you can tell when
Kaepernick? You mean like Colin Kaepernick?
Yeah, it's funny because you see, she drinks the water like she wanted to say something, and she's probably like, I can't do that. This is not the place for it. No, thank you. I'm good. I'm good. Y'all got it. I don't even want to say anything about it.
But what a corner question too. What a move, right? Stealing this is their moment.
Yeah.
This is gold, silver, bronze, legitimately. What kind of a question? It's a terrible reporter. I mean, it's a dirty move.
Well, they want the hate clicks. They want them to say something, and then they want to write about it, blow it out of proportion, and they want to direct all this whatever towards the issue. I mean, that's all that is.
Good on them for having self-control and saying.
What they did is even
way more
better.
Control than I would.
Yeah, I know.
So good.
No, we'd have gone nuclear.
I would have been that clickbait that you were talking about. I would have totally.
Sarah Gonzalez flips the table and burns the house down.
I mean, but really, as a woman, can you imagine? Like, you've spent what probably is so long of your life training for all of this, competing, going through multiple rounds, working with these elite coaches, and then you get to that point and you're successful, and they want to talk about some dude who wants to compete in your sport? I'm like,
that wasn't even good.
That wasn't even good.
Yeah, so now that dude or dudette or whatever, right, is now famous for not being able to lift.
Yeah. That's awkward.
Come on, man.
That is really awkward. Well, at least he's still pretty.
We live in one giant psyop. That's what we're doing.
We do.
I'm just waiting for the aliens to come and ping us all back up. There we go. Take
Honestly,
me to the
I'm
mothership.
kind of waiting for it at this point too.
Yeah,
All
let's
right,
go.
We got to take a break. Can we take Murphy to the mothership? Well, before we go, I'm just getting attacked by a dog right now, and I love every moment of it. Murphy still has puppy breath.
He does.
Oh my gosh, puppy breath is disgusting and also the best thing ever. I just want to make sure all of you can find all of these lovely people on social media and elsewhere. So Yakubuyans, he's just getting himself a drink from my mug.
Just online.
It's fine.
Find it online.
Yakubuyans.
Instagram or
the Yakubuyans
Free
Show.
Space.
Instagram, Free Space. Are you still? Do you have a channel on YouTube?
We're fighting. YouTube and I, we're fighting. Yeah. But no, just go online. Yeah, it's good.
Okay, all right. Find him there. You're not going to want to miss it. Also, Sydney Watson, who, political commentator, she has a YouTube as well. But I would also like to remind everyone that she and our very own Elijah Schaefer are teaming up with a brand new show. You're not going to want to miss it. It is called You Are Here, and it is actually taking place right behind me. That's where the new set is. So
it's all happening.
Yeah.
Murph will be the mascot.
Yes.
Won't you? Yes, you will. You better be well behaved.
We're going to have to work on that one.
And you got to subscribe to the new YouTube channel for anybody who hasn't already. It's in the links of our Instagram accounts, Elijah and mine.
Perfect.
And Murph is biting my arm. So back to you, Sarah, with the morning news.
That was a great toss. Also, don't forget Young Ripa 5'9", not to be confused with Young Ripa 5'8".
Yes.
Okay, Eric July, you can find him on YouTube as well. BlazeTV.com for anyone who wants to subscribe, support us. You never know when they're going to kick us off of big tech. So make sure to go to BlazeTV.com as well.